G'day guys, happy Friday and welcome to another edition of Punting 101. If you don't recognise me, I'm Jacob from the TryPod. Yes, I have got a little bit less hair on my face. I've gone kind of clean shaven, as you can see. I'm hoping for a bit of a clean start actually after watching 3 straight games of NFL today, and we had some good bets on those games, some good numbers, and it didn't go our way, and that's after our worst round of the season last round. I needed a bit of a fresh start, so hopefully I haven't scared any women or children seeing a bit more of my face here today. But as you guys know, Friday Arvo, 5 p.m. Queensland time, 6 p.m. south of the border. We're here to share a bit of punting knowledge. We pick a topic that we think is of interest to punters every single week, and we just speak about it, share our thoughts, try and give some advice and a different perspective. And our perspective on different punting matters. Today is about arbing. So if you're kind of familiar with that term, you might be interested in what we have to say. If you're not, let me start by explaining what arbing means. Or arbing is short for arbitrage. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I never heard that word until it was in a punting context, but I think it's originally an economics term. But in terms of punting, basically what that means, the art of arbing, is basically creating a situation where you have guaranteed profit, or where you're betting all different sides of a market where you can't lose and you can only make a profit. So that probably sounds pretty good, and that might sound enticing to you guys. And I'm actually going to spend the next 5 minutes explaining why we never have done that in the past when we could bet, and why we don't recommend people to do it. And you will find a lot of people in our group, and we've had this discussion before, that will have a contrary opinion, and we're happy to kind of argue it out. But let me give my reasons why I wouldn't do that. So first, I'll give you a bit of an example if I haven't explained it well enough. Let's just say we've got a true 50-50 match. Can be anything, rugby league match, a tennis match, whatever. Basically, it is a coin flip. We're used to seeing the odds at $1.92 on each side, roughly. Okay, but what if you were just scouring all the markets? Let's say it was an obscure tennis tournament and you found $2.10 on both sides. So you found like 2 opponents and you could get like over $2, let's just say $2.10 on both sides. Well, if you bet on both sides the same amount of money, you're guaranteed to return more than what you invested. You've essentially arbed the market. It doesn't even have to be a 50-50 either. It can be anything. It can be a favourite against an underdog, and the favourite might be paying $1.55, and then you go and find the underdog at $3.20. If you bet the right stakes on both sides, you will be guaranteed to come out ahead. Okay, so that sounds really good. So why wouldn't you do that? Well, there's a few reasons I'll go through. I've got about 3 reasons here. So one is available cash. So I'm giving like dream scenarios, but the reality is it rarely would happen. And if it did happen and you figured out the maths that you could make a profit, it's a small profit. It's a small ROI. You might make 2%, 3%. It's a dream really if you could make 5 or 10% of your stake back guaranteed. So you'd want to put a decent amount on. So if you're going to put a decent amount on, and obviously it's going to be usually on multiple bookies, if it's on the same bookie, it's a flat out error. You're also risking that they'll void the bet, but we'll kind of get to that. But you're betting on different bookies. The other thing is the price might move. So you've got to have that money available, whether it's a big chunk of cash sitting in each account, you can get it down, or you can quickly deposit and quickly bet. And this match might not be starting in 5 minutes. This match might be later in the week. You might be tying up that money. So, I mean, that's easier said than done, to have big amounts of money where it actually makes it worthwhile, because yeah, you could throw $20 on one side, 20 on the other, and make a guaranteed $1 or $2. But was it really worth the effort if it's only for a small amount? So having available cash is a real factor there that you've got to consider. And the next one is, if you are betting big amounts of money, be careful about getting stranded. You might find that scenario that I said, let's just say a tennis player, both sides of the equation, $2.10. All right, well, what if I put 10 grand on both sides? So just, you're going to get that 10% on top of your winnings, no matter who wins. Okay, but what happens if you dump 10 grand on the one bloke that's $2.10, and then you go and you're fiddling around, you're confirming your card PIN number, and you're dumping in the 10 grand on the other side, and the odds move? Well, now, oh fuck, I never wanted to risk 10 grand on a tennis match in Uzbekistan, but now you've got 10 grand on one side, you haven't got down on the other side because the odds have moved. So you've got to be very careful with stranded, or not necessarily even the odds move, but you go to put that big amount of money. I'm just using, a fictional amount, 10 grand, whatever it might be, 1,000, obviously in that scenario, equal amounts on both sides. What if the bookie doesn't accept it? What if the bookie realizes, hey, why is a big amount of money going on this strange, small market? And now all of a sudden they'll, how they review your bet and they might reject it, or they might take a smaller stake, and now you've got lopsided sums. So as Alex Pod has commented there, if I was going to do it, and I'm telling you not to, and I've got my number one reason next, definitely bet the outlying side first. So almost all of the cases that you can find a good arbing opportunity, it's because one price is wrong. The rest of the other bookies probably got it close to where it should be, but you found an outlying price. Make sure that if you are going to arb, you bet the wrong price first or the wrong number first. Then if that moves, that's okay. Or if you don't get the money down, that's okay. You're no worse off. And then you can always find the other side of it because it's probably available at multiple bookies. So definitely don't just think, oh, this bookie's got this bloke at $2.10 and the other bookie's got another bloke. Yeah, but every bookie has him at $2.10. It's that one bookie that has the favourite higher than $2 that's made the mistake. Get on that favourite side first. But actually betting both sides is not the optimal long-term solution to return the most money. And that's why we don't suggest arbing, and that's why we haven't arbed. Because let's look at that example. Okay, sure, if I got both tennis players at $2.10 each, I'm guaranteed a profit. And people get so hung up on this guaranteed profit. Oh, I'm not going to get broke if I'm guaranteed profit. It's the whole idea of, oh yeah, I should cash out because my multi's now paying more than my stake. It doesn't mean that you should cash out. You might be getting ripped off. The expected value of your multi might be further than, or might be higher than what they're giving you. And it's the same in this scenario. Yes, if you did bet both sides the same amount, you're getting over $2 on both sides. You will make a profit. That's because the favorite is wrongly priced and you've got a favorite that's winning 55 to 60% of the time and you're getting $2.10. That's why you're returning a long-term profit. Not because you're betting the underdog who wins 45% of the time at $2.10, which is a fair odds, or if anything, slightly worse odds. So what I would do, as Alex has commented there, just bet the wrong side. Just bet the outlier. And yes, it's not guaranteed cash anymore, but it's a great bet, and it's going to win more often than it's going to lose, or, depending on the odds, it's going to return a greater expected value than your stake. So long term, that return on investment, which is what we're trying to achieve, is going to be greater than betting on both sides. It's a similar kind of scenario, not exactly the same when we middle a game. That's where you bet, let's say that's more where you've got not necessarily the price disparity, but the line might be out. So it can be a footy game where one team is a 6-point favourite, but on one bookie you can get -3.5, and at another bookie you can get +8. And obviously I'm making extreme examples, which is very rare. The only time you'd ever probably find that is if a superstar player back in the day when Thurston was in his prime, and then if you found out the Cowboys were sitting him out, and you could get on one site, the opposition +12.5, and then on another site, once they realised Thurston was out, you could get the Cowboys -5.5. But these are extreme situations. And if you have got inside information, again, just bet the right side. If you knew Thurston was out before other people did, bet the +12.5 on the underdog. Don't worry about coming back and betting the fair number at the other side. Or, we've got NBA at the moment, and you can bet player props, and what you do see is a player might be, over under 15.5 points, but one of his superstar teammates might be out. Now he's going to get the ball more, he's going to get more shots, and he's probably going to get more points, and his total should be more like 21. So you've bet over 15.5. Then the news comes through that his teammate's sitting out. The line and the player total moves to 21.5. A lot of people think, oh, now I'll bet under 21.5, and I've got like a 6-point window where I'm going to win both sides, and I can't lose, or I'm just going to lose like 8 cents on the dollar. Yeah, but the thing is, you had a great bet at over 15.5. Now you've got a slightly unfair bet because you're probably getting $1.90 or $1.87 on what's a fair line of 21.5 with all the information known. So again, we would only do that if we actually believed the market had moved too far and it actually was value on both sides. So it doesn't matter whether you're trying to middle or trying to arb. We would only ever bet both sides if we believed both were value. So if it was a rugby league game, we thought the line should be 6. We could get one team -3.5, one team +8.5. If we believed it should be 6, we could actually bet both sides and we would try and middle that game. But if we believed the line should be 7 or 8, we'd just be on that -3.5 and we'd take our chances, and we know we'll win more often than we'll lose. And that's where I'm going to end it. Although lastly, I will say, even if you are unconvinced so far, just also consider the fact that bookies may information share. And I'm not privy to know how much of that goes on, but you had partnerships between Crown and William Hill. You've got Neds and Ladbrokes under same ownership. I mean, if you're betting the same market on two different bookies on opposite sides, and they were information sharing, you could lead yourself to getting banned, and you would have just been better off staying under the radar and just playing one side, because then it looks like you're just having a fair punt and you're just having a crack. Whereas if they actually can catch you out betting both sides, well then they will cry foul and they will play silly buggers with you, and they're not going to want your business. And the name of the game, we want to make money punting. We want to keep our accounts available to us. So that's where I'll leave it there. Hopefully that was interesting. I've actually got a full article I wrote a year or two ago and shared in the group, and we've got it on our website. I'll link it. Pretty much a summary of what I've spoken about today. Otherwise, add your thoughts, add your comments, questions as well. Appreciate hearing from you guys, and have a great weekend. Most of all, we've got another live pod tomorrow, 10 a.m. Queensland time, for the remaining NFL slate on Monday. We haven't done that great on best bets, but we hit 100-1 multi earlier, or last month, and we're still making profit on our best bets. So tune in for that if you're interested. Thanks for watching today. Have a good one, lads.